Yes, very good afternoon. Um, Apologies for not uploading the notes on time because for past few days I was not feeling well. Because of that, now we will straightly get back to our lecture. Um, uh, if you remember clearly, precisely, we left in Unit 2, Lecture 1, and we are to continue with lecture number 2 of Unit 2. I'm not going to deal with the word of the day and other things that we used to deal, like greeting slides and reflections. That will start with our normal session when we start. Yeah, straightly to begin with uh, the teaching. Today we are going to look at lecture 2 of Unit 2, which is basically divided into the types of research, formulating research problem, which I've added to the model descriptor. Then we have basic assumption of research. Then what are the quality of a good research worker, and especially we are looking at the ethics that we need to have in order to carry out research, as well as some basic things about what plagiarism is all about. I really hope that academic skills must have taught you what plagiarism is and how to avoid plagiarism, so it's not going to take as much time. Again, lecture 2 is being divided into 3 more lectures on formulating research problems and assumptions and research ethics. So please look at all the 3 videos that is related to lecture number 2, because we need to cut short the video. That's why we have made smaller videos. This video presentation is mainly looking at types of research. What are the different types of research that we have? And if you look at internet, if you look at the papers, if you look at the articles, if you look at some of the books of research methodology, you'll find lots of classification of research, and no specific book will say that this is a streamlined classification of research. And I really think that the classification of research depends on the researcher, the person who is studying the research, and the point of view that he is understanding the research as the time. For our ease, because we have seen different kinds of research in our earlier classes, we have seen some research like basic research, adaptive research, applied research, policy research, inductive, deductive, quality and quantitative. Now, to give a very clear framework of exactly how research looks like, I brought up with 3 ways to classify research. The first way to classify research is classifying based on the purpose of research. Second is the approach that you take in order to classify research. And thirdly, the method that you adapt to the research. So, and to work with the purpose, we have got basic. Is your research based to collect mainly the basic information? Is your research to adapt a new technology or method? That's adaptive. Is your research going to see how applicable your basic knowledge from basic research is? That's on applied research. Is your research mainly looking at action oriented? That's on action research. And looking at the approach, we saw that what exactly is inductive and deductive, that we are going to look at again. And yes, we are going to even look at the qualitative and quantitative. And from here, because most of the things have been covered, I'm going to stress mostly on action research under the purpose of research, because this is one thing that we did not focus on. The other thing that I'm going to focus on the kinds of research under qualitative and quantitative research, to give you overall broad picture. And I really hope that you're not getting confused on what research is, how to carry out research, with the types of research for now. Right after classifying the research, then we'll look into how to come up with problem statement, how to come up with hypothesis, how to build objectives, and then we follow up with literature review, then we follow up with data collection and all. So please do not get confused, but it is very important to know what are research types and what are the research that you are interested to. So let us look at the types of research. Firstly, with the purpose. This slide must be very familiar to you because we have already dealt with this slide. 4 different kinds of research are practiced in Bhutan, starting from basic, adaptive, applied, and we have got a very interesting research that's known as policy research. Basic research, which I'm going to again come back in the next slide, what is basic research and all. But just know that it's just to collect basic information. You're not looking at even how to apply, what are the application of this knowledge can be. You're not even looking at that one, but just looking at collecting the basic information about something else. And most of the agencies in Bhutan are doing basic research because, as we know, that research is very infant, data are very possible in the country, and we need to build the baseline data. That's why most of the agencies, like specifically in relation to our sector, the forestry sector, Department of Agriculture, then we have the livestock department, forestry department, and then NBC, NSC, NSSC, and PPC are doing the relevant research. Now you have got UISER coming up, BES coming up, WWF coming up, RSPN coming up with lots of basic research in the country. Adaptive research mostly deals with the agricultural sector, but we can also expect some of the adaptive research taken up by livestock department, for example. If they have found some artificial insemination technique, they would like to practice that into our local breeds. If they have found out some good breeds of animal, if they have found out some good ways to produce something else, they are going to basically apply that into our normal livestock. So that's applied research. Adaptive and applied, mostly taken up by forestry. Again, like I said, livestock research is also coming up with lots of applied researches. And policy research, all of this research can, in one way or other way, can help in emerge out some policies in the country. So policy research is all about taking into consideration of this basic, adaptive, applied research, and taking those things into consideration and finding new policy, new method to work it out. So these are 4 different kinds of research based on the purpose that's being practiced in the country. But overall, just to let you know that overall, if you look at the purpose of the types of research based on the purpose, we have got one more research type coming up. That's action research. So if you want to do a research that is looking at finding a problem at first stage and analyzing that problem and finding a solution to that problem, with that research, we are still in the first stage. Finding a problem, finding a solution to problem, and you know that that's a solution to that problem. Now you're applying that solution in the second phase. You're applying the action to that problem and solving that problem. So the best example can be, I'll give you a very simple, non-relevant to our course example. For example, in forestry 3rd year, let's say that you have difficulty in learning statistics, and I presume that there are different ways to teach statistics to forestry 3rd year. One can be online, one can be Blackboard method, one can be a group discussion. So let's say we have got 3 ways. One is online, one is Blackboard method, and one is group discussion. And we find through our research that group discussion is one of the best ways to do the statistics. So we adapt group discussion, then we see what is the results of statistics from forest to third year before group discussion, before other things were going on, but before group discussion, one thing. Now second phase, we will see after the use of group discussion method, what is the change in the result. So can you see there are two things. There's one stage before the group discussion and the other stages after the group discussion. And we're going to look at, okay, before the group discussion, people were scoring, for most of the students were scoring 15 out of 20. Yes, that's before the group discussion. Now again do a test after the group discussion, like after 1 month, and now you see that the test mark has drastically improved. Let's say out of 20, most of the students, the average students, have scored around 18, so 15 to 18 jump. So you see that your action has actually improved the learning capability of forestry students in the statistics. So that's how action research works. You find a solution, you find a problem, then you find a solution to that problem, you apply the solution to that problem, and you try to see the difference. And the whole cycle goes on. So that's all action research is all about. And if you want to have your purpose to have action research, then this is the research type that you're going to choose. Basic research is a research that is done to generate basic information. Applied research is a research that's mainly done to apply our research findings. Adaptive is to adapt any kind of technology or methods that we want to perfectly match with our local environment. Let us see one by one the research types. So for example, if you want to carry out your thesis just to explore some basic understanding of a species in a locality, so in that case, what you want to go do is you want to basically do a basic research. For example, if you want to see the butterfly diversity in, let's say, Wangdi-Photrong. Let's say Wangdi-Photrong district doesn't have a butterfly diversity study done previously. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically do a basic research. You're not going to aim your research to apply in any other fields, just to show that these are the diversity of the butterfly that's found in Wangdi-Photrong. So that's basically basic research, and you need to be very clear that your intention is not to have any application. Your intention is not to solve any problem. Your main intention is to generate a new understanding. Your main intention is to create new knowledge. You can even build new knowledge upon the existing knowledge. That's your main intention. And sometimes this basic research is also known by the synonyms like fundamental research, pure research. So that's it. Yes. Some of the examples that I got on basic research is, let's say, indigenous medicinal herbs, though they have got lots of potential, has not been explored for the pandemic COVID-19. And the kind of research that we do in this kind of fields is basically basic, because there's no potential research being done in indigenous medicinal herb to treat COVID-19. One of the students from 4th year currently is doing his thesis on mosquito diversity around in this area. So that's a basic research, because mosquito diversity is not being done. And let's say the best example can be the last one. Can you see the last one? The diversity and seasonal abundance of small mammal in Bumdaling Ramsar site. So looks like small mammal diversity and abundance study is not being done in Bumdaling Ramsar site. So this is a basic research. Most of the species diversity, distribution pattern, population and abundance studies in Bhutan, and specifically done by our seniors, specifically done by lots of emerging researchers, are all basic in nature. And the second type of research is applied research. So this is mainly done with the intention to apply whatever knowledge that we have acquired from basic research. Uh, some of the examples that I can give here is mainly it happens in agriculture sector in Bhutan. Like you want to improve agricultural crop production through new means, because you must have some new means to improve agriculture production. You want to treat or cure specific disease of crop, trees, livestock, human by doing this research. Let's say another example that will be very good for us. If you see the last, examples on good fences practice that's being carried out in Merak and Sakting. So the researcher must have done lots of studies on the fencing and its benefits to pasture management in Merak and Sakting area, and he found out that good fences are actually one of the great methods to have a sustainable pasture management. And his research is now applying in this area like Merak and Sakting, where he recommends to have good pasture management. Another example can be, yes, approaches and tool for assessing here. Approaches and tools for assessing mountain forest ecosystem. Basically, he's the researcher. He or she must be trying to assess different tools and approaches in order to assess or in order to study mountain forest ecosystem services. And at last, he must be finding one approach or one method that will be very best to study the mountain forest ecosystem services. So that's it. There are lots of examples. Please read and please see whether it's applied or it's basic. So you may get a little bit confused with applied and basic, because there's a very thin line to draw between these two different kinds of research. But the main thing that you need to know is that somehow in applied research, the research can be applied to the researcher's environment. The next research type is adapted research, where basically if you have got two technologies, you are going to choose one of the technologies from the two, which is the best one, and apply to the field. If you have got two methods, you are going to basically pick up one best method and apply that to our field. So that's adaptive method. And one of the best adaptive research that was done is I supervised one of the students from environmental and climate studies. The first paper is on comparative analysis of water discharge measurement methods. And basically we were trying to come up with different kinds of discharge measurement methods. Like what are the different, like we found like 5 or 6 different kinds of discharge measurement methods, and from which methods the one most important method is best for us to use in Bhutan. So we found out that one of the methods, like flotation method, was best for river system like in Bhutan, and we are going to adapt that method to study the water discharge. So that's going to be an adaptive research. I'll just be looking at one more example: biologging and new technologies to study conservation physiology on the move, a case study in an annual survival of Himalayan vulture. So this is also one of the studies related to our field. So biologging is the thing that can be now applied in order to conserve the species like Himalayan vulture. So the researchers must have studied ranges of methods to conserve the physiology of the Himalayan vulture, but at last he must have found out that biologging is one of the best ways to conserve. So that's it. Please read other examples. Very good example, as long as you feel that these can be applied in this can be applied and this can be adapted to be used in our environment. That's it. That's what adaptive research is all about. And last, action research is something that I was talking to you. You start with a problem. You try to solve that problem with one solution, and that solution you again put into that problem and try to work it out and see whether the solution that you have found is actually working or not. So there's a research at the first research of finding out what is the solution, what is the problem, and what is the solution. And there's an action part at the second stage where the solution that you have found, whether it's acting really perfectly to solve the problem or not. So you have got research, action, research, action, action, research, action, research going on, and the cycle continues. So this diagram shows that firstly you observe what is the problem, you reflect the problem, then you plan the problem, and you see that one solution is going to really act on that problem and solve the problem. Then you act on the problem. Then after acting, see whether that action has brought changes or not. So if you remember, group discussion was one of the best ways to study statistics for forestry third year, and you act with your group discussion method here. Then you try to see the changes after one class test, and if you have increased the marks, that's it. Your action research is successful. So action research is one kind of research that's mainly most of the time used in education sector. But if you have to use in the forestry side, you can also use that. But you have to know that problem, solution, solve the problem. Again, go back to the problem, whether it's being solved with that solution or not. One of the examples that I found was improve silvicultural practices through thinning in cool broadleaf forest of Yosel Pellery Community Forest in Tali, Shimgang. So the community forest was having a silvicultural problem, and that's a problem. And the solution was, there were lots of solutions: cut down the trees, deforestation, habitat defragmentation. That's one, but that's not a very good solution. Second one is to do a very good moderate thinning. And forestry people thought that the second one is the best method. Then do the acting of thinning on the community forest and now see the change. And they saw that the silviculture practices has actually improved. So can you see that the action research is going on? And there are lots of action research. Just have to know that action research is problem, solution, solve the problem with that solution. Again, get back to the problem, whether checking whether that is improved or not. So this is the spiral. Like I said, you plan, you act, you observe, reflect, again you replan. So the first stage is all about finding the problem, finding the solution, and the second stage is all about applying, acting, and again reflecting and replanning. So that's it on the types of research based on the purpose of research. If you feel that you want to do a basic kind of research, that's called basic research. If you feel that you are going to do a thesis to adapt any kind of method or technology and to use that as a superior technology or method, then that's adaptive. If you feel that you're going to do your thesis on the application part of the already generated basic research, then that's applied research. If you feel that you want to do some action research on some problem, on some research area, then that's action research.